we're doing a little.
Yes, sir.
Congressman Himes, thanks for giving us a chance to get at the mic. My name is Doug Belfiore. My wife and I live in Trumbull, Connecticut. Let me first say I'm not with Steve, but we didn't come here together, but we both had similar things in our mind. The issues you raised are in your opening statements were very important things, but I think there's something more fundamental than the things you're talking about, and that's trust. And I think if we look at why Congress is at such a low rating now, I think it's because people have been disillusioned and they've lost trust. Very quickly, I'll tell you about what happened in our own home. About 5.5 years ago, we stood in the kitchen talking with our 2 adult children who had just graduated college, and I said to them, whatever you do, beg, borrow, steal, get into real estate. Buy a house, buy a condo, get into real estate. A few months later, Lehman crashed, Bear Stearns crashed, the curtain was open and all those wizards on Wall Street were revealed. So our American dream shattered. Our children have no chance right now of getting into a house. Our house is worth 25% less than it was. Our 401k, I don't have to talk about that. Struggle to get it back to where it is on a false Wall Street growth because it's built on the backs of people, staff who have been cut. So big companies are doing great. The middle class, as you know, is not doing great. But here's the problem. How can I, as a citizen, and by the way, we're the lucky ones. We still have a house, right? But how can we as citizens trust our legislators when you take contributions from big banks, many of the big banks who write off fines like it's like I would pay a toll going to work. That's what it is for them. And nobody on Wall Street has been even indicted. So how can we trust anybody in government right now?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for both your observations and your questions. Your story is unfortunately common. When I was sworn in January of 2009, so many people were had just been lost their jobs, or were about to lose their jobs, or were losing their home. And the American public has every right to be angry with their government, with the Congress, with the regulatory agencies, with the Federal Reserve, with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, with Lehman Brothers, Morgan Stanley. Every right. The irresponsibility to the point of criminal behavior was an outrage. And Congress made a lot of bad decisions. Both parties, by the way, for 10 years just said home ownership to everybody. The government said to the American people what you said to your children. At any expense, go become a homeowner. And we had the crash that we did. So Americans have every right to be angry with their government. So what can we do? We can do the best we can to try to make sure that what happened in 2008 never happens again. That interest-only pick-and-pay mortgages are a thing of the past. That we have a Consumer Finance Protection Bureau that's going to keep mortgage brokers and others and countrywides from selling exploding mortgages to American families. It's going to keep Bear Stearns from putting these exploding mortgages into these securitized products that blow up and bring down Bear Stearns and all the other. We can go back and say we're going to try to keep that from happening again. And then what we should do, because I think the real point of your question was about trust, was, and here, this is not an easy thing for me to say because I understand the inherent hypocrisy of it. I live in a system where we compete by raising money. And if I were to all of a sudden unilaterally say, I'm not going to do that, somebody who did would be standing in front of you 2 years from now. But I will tell you this, I am a co-sponsor and an author, a co-author of the 2 constitutional amendments that are before the Congress today that would take money out of the political system. I was a supporter, an aggressive supporter of something that was called the Disclose Act, which frankly was pretty weak beer. The Disclose Act of 3 years ago just said that corporations and unions and people who write $1 million, you simply got to tell us who you are. And by the way, if you're foreign, you can't do it. I mean, it was just about disclosure, and unfortunately did not make it through the Congress. But as long as I can, and look, the 4 years I've been there, healthcare town halls, economic meltdown, coming out of those 4 years, I am generally an optimist, believe it or not, about our system, except for the money. The money at best warps our system, and it makes people feel like unless you're writing $10,000 checks, you're not listened to. And so I hear you loud and clear, and I would just urge everybody to help me and others to get us to a system where money is a lot less important in our political system. Thank you.